Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Well, today we're talking about the restaurant industry. We now have an industry icon here in Studio One. We have George McKerrow with us. He's CEO of Ted's Montana Grill. He's co-founder there with Ted Turner. He also had founded Longhorn Restaurants, which you all know about. It's done really well. And George has received a lot of awards from the restaurant industry throughout his career. Glad to have you, George, here in Studio One. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Michael, it's great to be here. It's always an honor as an old dog to get out and talk about what we're doing as an industry.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And, you know, the industry, as we just heard, is doing really well. And I hear Ted's Montana Grill is doing really well. In fact, was there recently, had a great meal. So are you guys in expansion mode at this place where we are in this cycle?
Absolutely, and you've really been looking to develop and have been in a growth mode for the last several years. Obviously, we took some time off after the 2009, 2010 situation with not only real estate but the whole economic situation. Regrouped as a restaurant company and had to refocus and make sure that our brand was still relevant and that we could grow appropriately, and we've been able to do that. We've opened 4 new restaurants since 2010, and we're going to expand into the future up to about 4 to 5 new restaurants a year.
4 to 5 a year, okay. And tell us, what makes a good site for you guys? What's a good location?
Well, I mean, look, I mean, you know, we believe in demographic research, and you know, I've worked with Claritas and others over the years, and really try to develop a deep model. I mean, I will preface this by saying, in my opinion, the only thing predictable about the restaurant business is it's unpredictable. Right. So, you know, once you get past that risk hurdle, and then you get over the fact that I've got a whole lot of restaurant sites in my career at Longhorn, Rare Hospitality, Capital Grill, et cetera, that were blow-away successes that I thought were going to be good. And I've gotten an awful lot of places that I thought were going to be incredibly good that turned out to be just average or poor. So it's a gamble, but you can mitigate your risk. First of all, we're looking for a 50-50 day part. We're an all-day concept that opens at 11 in the morning with the same menu, with a few additions for dinner that continues till closing at 10 o'clock at night. So we're looking for a 50-50 day part, lunch to dinner. Okay. So we're looking for that daytime driver, business, office, hotel, retail. We also are looking for co-branding opportunities. We're a small company, 45 restaurants spread out in 17 states. We don't have density of population. We don't do traditional advertising of any kind. So we're looking for co-drivers of our business. That's other restaurants, obviously mixed-use retail, office components, and residential, movie theaters, et cetera, that kind of drive a gathering place. And we've been doing that really since we started 13 years ago, so we were a little ahead of that curve, because that's certainly where the millennial market is going, I believe.
Okay. What size range are you looking for, square footage-wise?
You know, we've had a wide variety. When we started, I saw this as a 3,500 square foot, you know, kind of a end cap user. We have developed freestanding real estate. We've developed buildings as big as 6,000 square feet. But our ideal sweet spot is 4,200 feet. You know, we'll go on either side of that, a little bit less. But if we're in the 4,200 to 4,500 square foot range, it gives us an economic model under current conditions. I mean, let's face it, the cost of real estate has gone up over the last 10 years. Cost to buy the land, cost to build the building. And so, you know, it's a factor of the landlord's got to have X amount of return on investment in order to make the investment, and we do too. So we find that size facility gives us the sales we need at an occupancy cost that we can tolerate.
Are there any cities that are really on your radar to expand in?
So we've had a strategy in the past, since we're spread out the way we are. The majority of our restaurants are in Atlanta and Denver. 23 of our total restaurants are in those 2 cities. The other 22 are spread out into, obviously, you know, 1 here, 2 there, 3 there. So we've used a backfill strategy. So we've been developing in Ohio, in Columbus, and Nashville, Tennessee, and Lexington, Kentucky, and all those places, the Mid-Atlantic, around DC, Maryland, Virginia, where we have restaurants. Now we're expanding beyond that and saying, okay, we're not going to be able to meet our hurdle rate of number of units we want to open with strictly there. So we're active in Florida, looking at the West Coast primarily, Tampa, St. Pete, Tampa, Sarasota area, Jacksonville. We're active in the Carolinas. We're building our first restaurant in Charlotte, middle of this year, and we'd like to develop that market further. We're still active in the Mid-Atlantic, moved into Maryland this past year at the end of the year, and we'd like to expand our presence in Maryland and Virginia and even into the district. We're active around the Philadelphia market. We've got one successful restaurant there. We're going into Christiana, Delaware. We're looking near King of Prussia, so we're there. And we're looking in Texas. And we've kind of identified Texas with the economic boom and the stability of the economy there. And
which cities in Texas?
Dallas is our first target market. Okay. And so it's not that we won't. I mean, we're also looking in Cincinnati, Ohio to expand our presence and again, try to connect the dots. We're staying away from the extreme Northeast in the Boston market. We find the appetite for our restaurant, while we have a highly successful restaurant up there from the real estate side, developers been reluctant to put a Ted's Montana Grill in place. We're staying away from Chicago right now. We just haven't been able to get the traction we thought we'd get in Chicago, and the real estate's expensive. So, you know, we're trying to go where we either have a previous reputation or we believe the demographics in the city's ready and willing and able to accept the Ted's.
Okay. And how are you finding the selection out there now? I mean, there's not been a lot of new supply in retail. There's been some mixed-use developments that have happened. Are you able to find great locations? Is it hard? Is it easy? What do you see?
You know, I've been doing this a long time. It's never been more difficult, in my opinion. And there's several reasons, if I can expand on it a little bit. One, obviously, there was a complete slowdown and a shutdown of really new development.
Right.
And we find that easier for us. It's not that we won't take a second generation space, or we're not really buying land or building on ground leases right now, but we have in the past. We've just been more successful as a tenant in a good upscale mixed use development than any place else. So we've narrowed the target as much as we can to that. That's primarily new space. It's easy to meet codes and spend, you know, a reasonable amount of money. So
there's less surprises.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So that's number one. And those are tough because, first of all, they're a startup, but what I see is this. You know, hey, before the slowdown, you know, a color glossy photo, a list of LOIs, and the bank was handing out money, and 97%, you know, financed, and off we go. And then some of those people actually built, you know, in the space, or they didn't. And now, you know, we're finding that the developers got to produce 70, 80% leased properties before they have approved for the financing, before they can take it down. Yeah. So that we've added a full year to 18 months to the cycle. Then second of all is the really good restaurants, and especially there's an appetite for real local, right? So developers are really fascinated with local. Yeah. I caution them on that. I mean, you know, there's not much balance sheet usually and all that. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity, but you just got to be in the fight. You got to win the battle.
That's right. All right, well, stay tuned. We'll have more on the restaurant industry. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you in part by your friends at Bull Realty. When your business requires proven performance, visit bullrealty.com or call 800-408-BULL. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Today we're talking restaurants with George McKerrow, CEO of Ted's Montana Grill. And George, you've been in the business for a long time. You've been real successful. What's new in the business? It seems like technology is impacting every industry today. Is technology impacting the restaurant industry, and what are you seeing new?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, we hear about it all the time. I mean, technology in the back office has been really, really a boon for a lot of folks. And, it gives us a tremendous amount of analysis and a lot of understanding and tools that should help our business be managed better and help us have visibility into the things that we need to see in terms of trends and other things. I happen to be a little bit old school. It's as long as it's used as a tool, it's really good. But if it becomes a crutch where we think the machine's going to tell us how to operate a restaurant, we've got a problem. The other big thing, obviously, is technology at the table. And the jury's still out, but with the EuroPay and MasterCard Visa program coming along, which is a change in credit card accountability and responsibility, we're going to start to see something that's been going on in Europe for 25, 30 years, which is your credit card's never going to leave your hand and there's going to be pay at the table. And that's going to come in various ways. There's certainly kiosks now and screens and other things. And we're going to opt more towards a traditional, more traditional guest check look, et cetera. And yes, there'll be a ability for you to put your card in right there at the table. I mean, we're the only country in the world that I know where we freely surrender our credit cards to retailers and
trusting Americans.
Yeah, like here we are. Right? So, that's coming our way. I think there's a little debate still about the human side of the business, and I think that technology in a way has taken some of the hospitality and personality out of not only the service force, the team that's there, because they're very electronic minded. I mean, I've got a young daughter that would much rather text me than talk to me on the telephone. And I don't think that really works, especially in upscale casual like we are and finer dining. So I don't know where that all lands. And then obviously in the real estate world, there's a tremendous amount of analytics that we've talked a little bit about that we can do to thoroughly understand who our demographic is, what the demographic profile of the sites we're looking at are. And so that stuff's all evolving all the time. So I really do think technology is here to stay. I think it's a tool that can be advantageous. I just always caution our people to make sure we use it as a tool, not as a crutch.
Right. Well, that's a good point. I think I'm probably not unlike a lot of customers that I like to be appreciated. I go in a restaurant and if you show me appreciation, you're trying to take care of me, you can let some other things go,
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's the beauty of some of these systems. We use Guest Manager through Aloha. We use, in some of my fine dining restaurants, Open Table. And it's nice to say, oh, hi, Michael, I see you were here, 2 weeks ago, and do you want your martini chilled over and up? And that makes you feel special. And we're all fighting for market share. I mean, there's way too many restaurant seats in the United States really already, and more on the way all the time. So we're all fighting for our market share.
Yeah. Well, as you founded Longhorn Steakhouse, I was there the other day. When I walked in, I sat at the bar, and she said, this is your beer, this is your steak, this is your salad, this is what you'd like. And I'm like, wow, that's fantastic, because that's exactly what I was going to order.
Exactly. And
she just looked at me and knew that. I mean, that's service, right? That's what you've taught.
Right, exactly.
So the business has been going really well, and things have been looking really good. Are there some things that maybe worry restaurant operators today? What are some headwinds that might be out there?
Well, I mean, obviously, supply chain management and cost has been an effort, and I think there's a little fatigue out in the marketplace for the consumer. We had a lot of price inflation at the wholesale level that turned into the retail level. Obviously, the wage and hour situation with, whether it passes or not, the emotional wage now is $15. To start, and that's going to put pressure on our P&Ls, obviously, and the cost of entry. Occupancy cost is going up because of what we talked about earlier, and so if you couple high pressure on cost of sales, high pressure at labor, and high pressure at occupancy cost, we've already got thin margins historically, and they just keep getting thinner and thinner, and so those are really the three that, they're always our worry, but they're pretty in the near forefront, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And we're short on the break, and I know you got a big meeting to go to. So quickly, tell me your opinion on this. Seems like a lot of the shopping center owners today want the experience of restaurants, and we're putting a lot of restaurants. Quick answer: are there too many restaurants in some of these markets?
Some of them there are, but at the same time, I think we've replaced the traditional retail draw, and the landlords have figured out wisely. Restaurants are a better and more consistent long-term draw for their centers than the local clothing store.
Are they giving you
the
good
restaurant.
Packages?
Yeah, they are, and the cost of TI is going up. Their willingness to give TI is back in a fever, but there's also a high, they're asking for a high base rent, and that gets tough.
George, thanks for joining us.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
it. Stay tuned. We'll have more on the restaurant industry, including a design build firm, to talk about construction and tips there. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, commercial real estate asset and occupancy solutions. Visit bullrealty.com. CCIM Institute, commercial real estate's global standard for professional achievement. Visit ccim.com/CRE show. Xceligent, providing verified commercial real estate information across the United States. Visit xceligent.com.